Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for FLR. Now, before I get into my Elliott Wave count, if you're new here, I just want to discuss what we tend to see in newer projects where we attempt price discovery and what we tend to get when we get a sell-off to begin with on a project is one of two scenarios. Either we break to new highs, consolidate above, or we consolidate below, and we make higher highs with pretty big price movements, or we reject at price discovery, which we have done up here, and we tend to grind down, make a series of complex three-wave patterns, and tend to range between the low and the high, which can be very frustrating to trade in. So we're getting dangerously close to where I would consider that we're range bound. Now, there are ways we can recover with lower lows where this becomes something more complex to the upside, but I wouldn't expect five-wave moves if we come too low here, which makes trading very difficult when we have no clear trend. So as we discussed in my previous video, if you're new here, we're looking for this fifth wave move to the upside. And we either have our Y complete or we need one more low. Hard to say at the moment, but we're looking for this fifth wave move out on the daily to the upside. I'm going to go down to smaller time frames and explain our targets. Now, before I get into this count, there is some concerns, and I just want to note that we are not following guidelines. Now, ideally, you can see my 618 and 1-to-1 in gray here for time. That was the 1-to-1 in time for our wave 2, which is why we initially last video wanted to see our pivot hold from here. So we didn't follow our time guideline we'd expect there. Now, it doesn't mean we can't get that move to the upside. So alternatively, for our third wave, we'd look between the 618 and the 1-to-1. As you can see, we're getting dangerously close to that. So the more we go against our guidelines in time and price, the more likely we are to be making this complex move to the downside, something like this, where we get a series of threes. We get a 3, 3, 3 to the downside. So we're kind of at that moment of decision where we need follow through for this to stay intact. We're becoming more and more less probable to make this move to the upside, the more guidelines we go against. Now, we are still above the 618 retracement of this third wave. So as long as we stay above that 618 and that 1-to-1 in time, I am still quite bullish for this fifth wave move. Now, as for targeting, this is a diagonal. We have a series of threes for our wave 1, three-wave move for our wave 2, shy retracement. And we have a zigzag up for our third wave, came between the 1.236 and the 382 extension of wave 1 off wave 2. Now, because we had such a shy retracement here for our wave 2, I'm not surprised that we get a 618 deeper correction here for our wave 4. Now, one thing I don't like, but it's not a deal breaker, because I have seen this in many other coins previous that did this, is we don't have our nice converging trend lines here, which would have been ideal to get a fourth and a fifth, just like this. We more have no real shape to this one. If we get our fifth, it's more of a megaphone pattern. We'd be stopping right in basically the middle. So just something to keep in mind. And you can see we're getting dangerously close to going against our guidelines for our pitchfork. The last ditch effort for me is this shift pitchfork. Modified is still hanging on by a thread. But if we make a new low here, I would switch to shift, and then that would be pretty much it for me for this five-wave move to the upside. It is still my bias as my primary that we do get this move. Good indications are we are still above our previous area of resistance, using it as support. right here. That's our big one. That's why you can see my red box here. Anything below that with any significance, I would have to adjust my count and throw this one out the window personally. But one more move to the downside would be okay. Even if we just get like a candle spike like you see in this wave 2, that would be all right. Our 1-to-1 extension of this W off our X for our Y is at 2.314 cents. But as soon as we pass that 618 extension of this W off the X, that's where I'd be considered it complete if we start moving to the upside. Now, important areas to break through is obviously this X wave, pretty far away. And we're just in a series of threes, so very difficult to trade. These are very difficult moves to count with any high probability. So when that happens, I more tend to go with fib levels, potentially where we are on the map of this count. And as you can see, anything past that 1-to-1, so April 20th, I would be more likely to switch to this being a 3-wave, see what sort of move we get to the upside. But if we stay within this downward trend I have marked here, I would more likely expect this move if we don't get, some sort of significant quick move to the upside. So let's talk about this area down here, what I'm looking for this move to the upside. I also took our 1-to-1 in time of our wave 1 off our 4th if this low is in. Remember, only if this low is in. If this has to be adjusted and we get one more move down, this would get pushed out in time. But if this is the diagonal as I have mapped out, we should hit there at the 1-to-1 in time, which would be beginning of June there, first week of June, up at around 7.736 cents. So there is a nice trade setup available now. I'm probably going to take 2 trades on this one. The previous one I took off last video, I ended up getting stopped out in slight profit, but it's a pretty nice trade setup at the moment. I have my stop a little bit tighter. I'll show you that, but it's about a 10-to-1 currently. But things I don't like about this trade setup from this specific area is we haven't hit that 1-to-1. We have not hit off the bottom of this channel, taking from the top of our 3 off our X wave off our W. So our deal, ideally we get one more low, but nothing says we have to get that. We can see we have some pretty significant buy-ups here off these last couple candles. Those are most likely longs getting stopped out, being forced to buy up. So we'll talk about this area here on the 15-minute. Very ugly count, as you can see. I don't have anything of high probability. I mean, you can count that as a diagonal. It doesn't have a nice shape. Most likely just a 3-wave move. That's why I have it labeled as a Y for now. So nothing high probability. Now I have taken a long out here, and I have put my stop at 2.9 cents. Reason being, we do have a potential bottom in. What looks good to me here is the fact that this looks like a correction complete. So I am expecting at least a move to the upside, even if this is more of a 3-wave pattern and we make that new low, or if it is something more complex. Now, one thing I've mentioned previously, which you have to keep in mind, is when we get this 5th wave, we're looking for complex structures. So we're not going to get clean 5-wave patterns. We're going to get a lot of 3s, like you see in this first wave 1. Get a lot of 3-wave jagged moves that don't hit any optimal 5-wave pattern fib levels, which is why I'm more leaning to just sticking to high probability zones for this 4th wave to complete, which we are at. Either we hold from here, continue up to that 7.76 cents, or I have us coming up and then one more down to that 1-to-1 at 2.3 cents. Then we attempt our new move to the upside. But as you can see, there's our 1-to-1 in time of that wave 3, so it should happen relatively soon. Now, if we do continue to the downside, what would I expect this to be? I would expect this is more of a flat pattern here, and we're making some sort of diagonal to finish a C wave or a wave 5 if this is somehow a 5-wave move. You can see it's very difficult to count. So as of right now, I do have a trade set up in play. My trade was literally right here. I bought just the last couple minutes. My stops just past the 70%, not the 618. I have it at 2.9 cents. And as of right now, just targeting the 1-to-1, which is a 3.5 to 1 risk reward. I'm just going with guidelines. I expect the 618 to hold, targeting the 1-to-1 if the pivot is in. Now, if we do make a slightly lower low, these targets will have to be adjusted. But right now, just playing this as a 3-wave move to the upside. If we continue to the upside, I'd expect this to correct sideways, something like this, and then continue with another 3-wave move to the upside. I have a hard time seeing this as a 5-wave move. I mean, technically it's there. It would be something like this, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. But I see this more as of a 3-wave move. A couple different reasons. We can use RSI here on the micro for the 15-minute. We would have expected divergence here between our 3rd and our 5th. And it does look like this wave here is more a connector between 2 waves, as you can see. Getting a nice correction here, however, as an ABC. And I'd like to see this continue up in 3 or 5. The 1-to-1 is at 3.098 cents, but we've passed the 618 minimum requirement. So we're right in that zone where this is just a ABC. So as of right now, I am just targeting this 1-to-1. I expect it not to move impulsively once again. So I'll be taking profit there around 4 cents, 4.153 cents-ish. And I will take my full position off and I'll look to re-enter if we correct sideways after we reach target like that. Stop is right here. You can see my red line at 2.9 cents. Reason being is if this is some sort of expanded flat and this ends up being some sort of diagonal to the downside, right? Something like this to complete. But as of right now, I like this long. It's one of the only longs I liked because of how high this B wave came. It's more likely corrective than impulsive to the downside. As you can see, we almost basically double topped here. So it looks good. Looking for this move, and I will make sure to update this for you guys. And just looking for this to move correctively to the upside to resume this 5th wave. Something like this. Multiple zigzags, just like previously, like our 3rd wave here. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. We're just using fib levels and zones for a pivot. No high probability count. Either we pivot from here, come up to our 7.736 cent target, or get a move down to the 618 at 2.55 cents, or hit our 1-to-1 and quickly recover like a candle spike, or we completely collapse if we fall below those levels. Expect a 3-wave attempt to the upside and then continuation to the downside. So very interesting moment. I am long, like I said. Stop at 2.9 cents according to MEXC, which is where I'm trading it, but looking for that 1-to-1 target at 4.16 cents. I will take my profit and look for a re-entry after confirming probabilities on my side in a consolidation rather than a continuation to the downside. All right, guys, that's it for Flare. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.